Hello, everybody. Hope everyone's having a good night tonight. We are in the midst of a full moon, and we are going to do the second installment of Brian's breakdown. If you watched last episode, we talked about anger, and today we're going to talk about lying. First of all, what is Brian's breakdown? Brian's breakdown is where I drink a beer, we have a chat, and we all learn something. So, lying and why people do it. Well, what is lying? Lying is not telling the truth. And why do people do it? Well, I guess there's multiple reasons why people do it, but I think it comes down to fear and being afraid of the truth, because otherwise you would just tell the truth. This whole entire experience that we are in called life is supposed to be time spent figuring out the truth and being honest about it. I thought when I started doing my posts and my videos, I thought that when I started speaking about the truth that people would kind of understand what I was saying. I thought that the reception I would get is, oh hey, here's finally somebody saying what I've always been thinking or what I've always felt. But what I really get is a lot of people that like to tell me that the truth is subjective and it's based on perspective. And what you're not understanding is that's the small picture. But there's also a bigger picture. And the bigger picture is really what matters, because we can all have opinions about things, but there's ultimately a truth to everything. And the point is that we all are supposed to understand what that truth is, but also have a mutual agreement that we're not going to be dishonest about that truth, that we're going to accept that truth for what it is and let it be part of who we are and our story, because we want to have a story that we can all tell that's true. But right now what we all have is a bunch of different stories that we're telling. And it's very confusing to a younger people's mind to hear so many different things from so many different directions. Again, it's just building the next generation up to say, hey, nobody's got it figured out and we got a lot of work to do, and I'm sitting here left the one to bear that weight. Okay, because it starts with the ones who are in a position to start doing the work to understand these things, which is the adult minds, the ones who have been here a while and have had time to start thinking about these things. It's our job to start figuring it out and start passing that and relaying it down to the younger minds, so that we can eventually get to a society and a place where it's healthy and honest. Lying seems to be the easy route, because we can make up any story that we want and tell that to fit, the narrative that we want. That makes it easy. Otherwise, we have to work around the truth. We as people like to be the ones in control, and if the truth doesn't fit our narrative, then that means we're not in control, and so we don't like that. But is that a problem with the truth, or is that a problem with us? You see what I'm saying? So ultimately, the truth is what it is. It's non-biased. It just is what it is. We are the ones who have this big problem with determining that there is one and then accepting that there is one. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, as long as it takes for me to start getting that reception of thank you, and I get it, and finally, and those are the types of things that will let me know that people are understanding. And right now, there's still a lot of misunderstanding. So let's get back into lying. You see how these conversations can veer off a little bit. But what I'd like to do is try to... It's not veering off, I guess it's what it led to. I think people lie because they're hurt. You have to try to make things appear to be better than they are, which lets me know that there's an issue and you're suffering in some way. Otherwise, again, you would just be being honest with your circumstance or situation or whatever we're talking about. There wouldn't be a need to have to lie. There's a freedom that comes with being honest that you cannot buy, that you cannot find anywhere else other than telling the truth. And it's not just about telling the truth with one thing, it's about being honest about everything. We all know individually the things within us that we have not been honest about. And only we can heal those things and be honest about them. We have the power to do that or not. And I'm telling you, once we start getting on this path of making a checklist of all these things and doing what we need to do to be honest about them, then we begin to lighten the load within us ourselves. We become lighter, we become freer, we become happier, because no one can take that from us now. Okay? Someone, it's like there's this feeling of like, you're being dishonest and you owe the world something, or you owe the person something. But once you're honest about something, there's nothing left to be owed. And so no one can take that from you. No one has anything to take from you anymore. And again, it's just a sense of freedom that comes with that. Even if the truth that we're talking about is something that is hurtful, or it's, a bad thing that, we've been not wanting to discuss or talk about. The truth, once we get it out, doesn't really need to be discussed anymore. It's like a one-time deal. Otherwise, you spend the rest of your life concocting a story and having to keep up with the story. Otherwise, let's just tell the truth and move on, because we all have lives to live. We all have things to be doing, and if we're spending our time covering our tracks all the time, what time do we have left to be doing, positive things that we should be focusing on, right? I hope that some of the things that I've been saying and posting about and sharing have sparked something in somebody's mind and in their hearts that says, maybe I have something to think about, Everyone wants to have a different opinion as to what is the answer for humanity. What is the answer for all of us to be okay and be on the same page? And it's a very simple answer. It's nothing political. It is literally just being honest. And we can all do that with each other. We don't need the media to begin to set that example, to be honest with us. We don't need the government to start that example, to start being honest with us, for us to do those things. We don't need anybody else other than ourselves to be honest with each other. And we set that example that this is the world that we're deeming that we're going to live in, which is an honest one. And if anyone that is dishonest is going to stick out like a sore thumb in that world. Right now, what happens is the people who like to put on an act and be a liar seem to be the ones who succeed the most, because they manipulate things in a way to benefit themselves, and that's not being honest. There's no gratification in that, even if you're telling yourself there is. At the end of the day, there's no gratification in that, and you'll realize that people that behave that way will realize that there was no gratification in anything that they did, because it was all in a dishonest pretense. Okay, and so it's like you could make $1 million being dishonest, or make an honest $10. That honest $10 is going to mean the world to you and actually mean something. The other stuff doesn't matter. It will never hold any weight. It won't be valid at the end of the day. So we all are a lot of people, and most people, are thinking so small, such on a small scale, right in front of me right now. What, like, not anything outside of what they can see, with their eyeballs, and think in their own mind. And it's like, we're not thinking of it from a grander perspective of what does it all mean, and what is it all for, and why am I here, and what am I doing, why am I doing it, what's the purpose of me doing this all. Okay. And the only way to get to those answers and to grow is to be honest about it. If we keep on this path of, I'm here to do what I want, that's not the answer. The more that we can humble ourselves and realize that although it is all about us, that it is not anything about just you, in a sense. Okay? It is about everyone and everything. Okay? It is all about you, but it is also all about everything and everyone else. And if you can't wrap your mind around that, and you can't accept that, you're going to fail. If you continue to be in this mindset that it's only about me and my success and my happiness, that's not it. Okay? A person that's all alone in the world is lying to themselves and everybody else if they tell you that they're happy. I don't care what you say. You're doing something wrong if you don't have a relationship and you don't have a connection with another being, another person. There's something in you that is hurting, causing you to want to be separated and distant. And that's called pain. And if we have pain within us, we're not doing it right. We all need to heal from the pain and heal the pain so we can move on from it. The only way to do that is to be honest about it. See how I keep saying this word honest? It's the contradictory to lying. So as I'm talking about honesty, we can understand that we're talking about the opposite of lying. Okay? I've also come to the realization that we all have to make that choice. Anyone in the world, including myself, can give the greatest speech ever or show you the greatest example ever. And until each individual makes the choice that that's the path for me and that's also the place I want to be, it will never happen, because you'll do what you decide that you want to do. And so that's called free will. That's the other beautiful thing to all this, is that we all have the ability to make that choice. The reason it's that way is because as human beings, we'd all feel cheated if we were all forced to have to do something. So we all have the ability to make whatever choice we choose. Does that mean that there is but that means It doesn't mean, but it also means there is a right and a wrong choice. And that's based on love, honesty in your heart, and truth. And if it goes against those things, it's the wrong choice. That's your guidance system. That's how you can tell if you're doing it right or wrong. So we have free will to make the choice, but there is a right choice to make. Okay? I know, at least for myself, whenever I'm working in a group, I don't want to be the guy who everyone has to do my work for me. I don't like to be that guy. I like to do my work and then be able to be helpful in other areas and help other people, right? And it's the same thing with this life thing that we're all in. We all feel like, again, that we're all having to just live our own lives and it doesn't really matter. It doesn't affect anybody else, but it's not the case. And the more time that we waste being dishonest and holding secrets and lies and pretending and acting and putting on costumes and all these things that we do to not really be ourselves, the more that we do that, we're burdening the load of everyone else, because you're making their job harder, because we still have to live in this society, in this world that is dishonest. We can't move on unless we all move on together. That's kind of the way it works. We all have to make that choice, kind of like it can be like individually on our own time, and that's what it is. But we all have to make that choice eventually, and eventually all be in that same place, on the same page, for it to really make a difference. So what I would just encourage you to do is just to think about your own self, your own family, your own past, your history, your own story, and think, wouldn't it have been nice, and wouldn't it be nice if it all could have just been perfect? If it all could have just been happy and loving, and there didn't have to be pain and suffering and loss and death and hurt. Okay? Wouldn't that be nice? Well, it's not so much this far-fetched idea. It actually can be a reality, and the way that it can be a reality is you make your choice, and I'm going to make my choice to say that's exactly what I want, and I'm going to be honest with myself. I'm going to relieve myself of my dishonesty, and from here forward, I'm going to live every day grateful for my life, seeing the bigger picture of what really matters, which is love and honesty and truth. And I'm going to lead myself in that direction. And what's going to happen is, if we all decide that, we all start leading ourselves in the same direction, don't we? Whereas right now, we're all heading in different directions. We all have different destinations in our mind. It's to get the destination out of your mind, other than that exact thing that I talked about, is let's all have an experience that is pain-free, that is suffering-free, that is death-free, that is hurtful-free, that is illness-free, and give ourselves this opportunity to use the time that we have in whichever way, positively from our heart, truthful and honestly, that we choose. And then we will find ourselves in a whole entire different world, literally, and we'll all be looking at each other saying, good job. Thank you for not wasting any more time. Thank you for doing your work. The back and forth, the bickering, the arguing, the wars, the conflicts, all because we cannot just stop and be honest with each other about the truth. What I want you to take from this video, if nothing else, is I want you to stop watching this video when it's over, and I want you to start thinking about what the truth is. Ask yourself, what is the truth? And I don't want you to try to dictate what that answer is, and I don't want you to disregard what that answer is. I want you to hear what that answer is, and I want you to study and research and dive into as deep as you can what that answer is, without bias, without judgment. And challenge yourself to see if you can accept that truth. I love you. Have sweet dreams. And we're going to keep talking. You got this. I got you. Have a good night.